I should tell you that there are a lot of people out there, many of the pundits and politicians, they say Bernie Sanders should drop out. Let me be as clear as I can be. I agree with you. We are in to the last ballot is cast.
Welcome to the Journal Editorial Report. I'm Paul Gigot. A defiant Bernie Sanders vowing to stay in the Democratic presidential race until the bitter end, despite a growing chorus on the left urging him to pack it in. But a new Fox News poll is just the latest to show Sanders running stronger against Donald Trump in a general election matchup than Hillary Clinton. So could he be the better bet for Democrats come November? Let's ask Wall Street Journal columnist and deputy editor Dan Henninger, editorial board member Dorothy Rabinowitz, and Best of the Web Today columnist James Taranto. So James, the Democratic establishment, including all the columnists who love his socialist ideas, are now turning on Bernie Sanders. Why are they falling out of love?
Well, I think Sanders is reminding them of the party's real problem, which is Mrs. Clinton. They don't really want to think about how difficult it's going to be to run with her as their candidate in the fall. And Sanders is reminding them of her weakness. She was supposed to have a coronation. He was supposed to be a minor protest candidate. And the reason that he's done as well as he has is because of Hillary Clinton.
So they want him to get out so that right away so that she can focus on Trump.
Right, and so that they don't have to worry about her as much for at least a couple of months.
All right, Dorothy, what about the argument that the Sanders people are making, that somehow he's being treated unfairly?
Yes.
That he is not getting the love that he deserves because of how well he's done?
Yes. Well, the Sanders people are filled with Bernie-injected martyrdom. They all walk around perceiving a world full of the system is rigged. This is the fuel on which they burn.
But is it fair? Is it a fair point?
No, it is not fair. This is an election contest. They fight. But this is exactly what happens when you're imbued with revolutionary ardor. Bernie Sanders is not terribly different from Donald Trump in this one regard with his followers, that they will question nothing, and he will question none of their behavior, as you can see.
But he has won, Dorothy, 3 of the last 4 major states.
Yes.
Okay? And the one he lost, Kentucky, was very close. Is this a case of Democrats having some buyer's remorse at the end of the campaign about Hillary Clinton, even though she's likely to be the nominee?
I don't think so. I really don't. This is rather standard. People hang on to the bitter end. I don't see any great difference here. The fact is the intense dislike of Mrs. Clinton has fed into this story of, what is she complaining about? He is the real victor going to be. But obviously, she has the nomination, as she keeps saying, as she keeps being censured for saying and noticing.
Yet, but the polls, Dan, show that Sanders does better against Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton does. I mean, could he be the better general election candidate?
I think he could. Those head-to-heads that have had Sanders beating Trump by double digits have been there for months, Paul. They've always been sitting there without much comment at all. And I think that I think what it represents is a generic candidate, Democratic candidate, against Trump. That Hillary is the one who barely beats him. But if that candidate were Joe Biden or John Kerry, I think in the head-to-heads, they also would be 10% ahead of Trump.
I would even suggest that maybe Hillary Clinton is the only Democrat who could lose to Donald Trump. How does Hillary Clinton get Bernie Sanders and especially his supporters on board, James?
Well, that's a very good question. I agree with Dorothy that Sanders is not being cheated out of the nomination. I think that's a ridiculous claim. However, if his supporters feel that he's being cheated out of the nomination, that's a political problem for the Democrats anyway.
Right.
Our colleague Peggy Noonan proposes in our paper this weekend that Mrs. Clinton should consider making Sanders her running mate in order to keep the party together and bring his supporters on board. And
so the 70-year-old ticket to try to drive the youth.
Yeah, 144 years between them. I at first thought that was a ridiculous idea, but reading Peggy's column, I kind of felt like the logic was surprisingly compelling.
I know you don't agree with that.
Well, you know, wait till the American people get a full, steady blast of the Bernie Sanders, a man of the left, to put it mildly, for whom the entire American system has been poisoned his entire life, and there's no concealing it. This is what is there in Bernie Sanders. And when you listen to him, why are you bothering me about the violence of my followers? We're fighting for a better world. This is the 1960s all over again. Of course we're bombing the campuses.
So you don't think Sanders would help Hillary Clinton?
I think he would be an endless battle.
So how does she get his supporters on board? I mean, gives him a speaking spot at the convention. Sure, you'll give him a big spot. Influence the platform. He's already influenced her agenda in a major way on trade, taxes, and health care. So many things. How else does she mobilize those voters, keep them so they come out instead of staying home?
She could go up in front of the cameras and say, "I am a socialist." No, really, this is the problem.
That's not going to help.
That is the dilemma.
Swing voters not going to help.
That's exactly right, and that's why all these pundits are upset about Bernie, because he has moved the party so far to the left. He is locking Hillary in to progressive positions that will make it impossible for her to pivot towards the center in the general election.
Very quickly.
Yes, she's moved to the left, but the one thing he has that she doesn't have, even if she declares herself a socialist, is sincerity.